Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. It's Thursday, October 30th. Yesterday's fire that broke out at the Gregory Gin Company cotton gin is now 50% contained as of last night. That's according to the Texas A&M Forest Service. The owner told KIII News that fire crews were called out Tuesday to battle a small spark, and yesterday that spark ignited again into a blaze that has evacuated residents and closed down multiple streets. Multiple crews, including emergency services from Gregory and Portland, the San Patricio Office of Emergency, and Taft and Annabelle firefighters, have taken part in the effort to control the blaze. Residents in the area have been forced to evacuate to the Portland Community Center at 2000 Billy G. Webb Drive. Multiple grass fires in the area have been started throughout this week due to a mix of conditions related to drought and this week's cold front. In addition to the Gregory fire, area crews yesterday were battling blazes on FM 628 in Clayburgh County and Cape Valero Drive in Rockport. Both of those blazes have been 95 to 100% contained. The city of Gregory posted on Facebook that lost power was expected to be restored this morning, but natural gas services will remain shut off. Meanwhile, Stephen F. Austin Elementary School in Gregory is closed today. Operations to lower the Old Harbor Bridge's center span could continue today. TxDOT announced on social media they had rescheduled the lowering for this morning on account of high winds associated with this week's cold front. The span must be lowered during daylight hours for safety reasons within a 10-hour window. The operation has been rescheduled several times this week. Once it is completed, the barge Prometheus will then travel with the span to a dock in the port's inner harbor. Early voting for the November 4th election continues through tomorrow, but some Nueces County voters are spotting a mistake on their ballots. Some of the proposed amendments to the state's constitution are out of numerical order. In a statement, Nueces County Clerk Kara Sands acknowledged that Propositions 14 and 15 are out of numerical order. However, they are the correct proposition language, and votes will be counted and tabulated accurately. Proposition 14 proposes establishing a Dementia Prevention Research Institute that would be created with an initial $3 billion investment that is anticipated to last at least 10 years. Proposition 15 proposes that parents have constitutional rights to make decisions for children based on federal case laws. The ordering error is due to a formatting issue that was not caught by the Logic and Accuracy Testing Board, which is comprised of both Democratic and Republican parties, during the required period in which the voting system was publicly tested and the ballots were reviewed and approved. On Saturday, some 3.5 million of Texans could lose access to food assistance through the federal SNAP program unless Congress ends the nearly month-long government shutdown. The federal food assistance program runs out of money this weekend. That means Texas families depending on SNAP to buy groceries may need to turn elsewhere for help. As the Texas Newsroom's Lucio Vasquez reports, food banks are already bracing for an uptick in demand.
It's Midday Wednesday, and volunteers with the Houston Food Bank are setting up in a high school stadium parking lot, stacking boxes and sorting produce ahead of a distribution event. Volunteers spent the afternoon handing out food to federal workers who've gone weeks without a paycheck. And if the government shutdown continues, this surge in demand will skyrocket. That's because in just days, SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps, will stop for millions of Texans.
Taking away food is taking away everything.
Stephanie Miller is a mother of two who lives in a Houston area suburb.
Because hungry kids don't learn well, hungry parents don't parent well, hungry people don't work well. Because they're hungry.
As a kid, Miller says her family struggled and relied on SNAP.
I grew up in a food insecure house, and the only reason that we did eat on many occasions was because of food that came our way via programs such as SNAP.
And unless Congress approves new funding, and quickly, vulnerable families across Texas won't get SNAP payments for November. That'll affect about 3.5 million Texans. Nearly half of them are children. To meet the growing need, food banks throughout the state are ramping up operations. In Houston, the state's largest food bank is launching what it calls super distribution events to help families relying on SNAP. Brian Green is the Houston Food Bank's president and CEO.
Normally, the federal government will step in to provide assistance. In this case, the federal government is the cause of the crisis in the first place. So we've got to rally together.
All across the state, Texas food banks are seeing the same pattern as families brace for a lapse in benefits. Sari Votsky is CEO of the Central Texas Food Bank, based in Austin.
We will look into sourcing more food than ever before, and we absolutely will make sure that people have what they need.
An explosion in demand is also expected in North Texas. Joseph Bradley is the executive director of Little Elm Area Food Bank, just north of Dallas.
People need to realize that real people's lives are going to be affected by this cut. It's not just children, it's seniors,
In Washington, both Republicans and Democrats have proposed separate plans to maintain funding for SNAP, but they're not seeing much movement. Texas Congressman Al Green, a Houston Democrat, is urging leaders in both parties to act fast before families go hungry.
Let's just come to the table with open hands, open hearts, open minds, and see if we can't come to some common conclusion as to how to resolve this.
For now, food banks across Texas say they're ready to help as long as possible, but warn that donations and volunteers can only stretch so far. If you or someone you know needs to find local food pantries or assistance programs, you can dial 211 for more information. And if you want to help, consider donating to your local food bank. I'm Lucio Vasquez in Houston.
In sports, coming soon to an Alamo Dome near you, the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley football program is expected to face Texas San Antonio at the Alamo Dome next year. That is according to the website fbschedules.com. UTRGV will face the Roadrunners at the Alamo Dome on Saturday, September 5th, 2026. The game will be UTRGV's first ever match against an NCAA Division I FBS program. And here's a trivia fact for you. UTRGV head coach Travis Bush was on the Roadrunners coaching staff when UTSA began its football program back in 2011. Continuing on with college sports, the TAMU-CC women's soccer team is one win away from playoffs as the regular season concludes tonight. The Islanders host the University of Incarnate Word at 7 p.m. The Islanders 2-4-3 in Southland Conference play currently sit in a tie with the Cardinals for the 8th and final seed in the conference tournament. A win tonight for either team would lock up a playoff berth. If the match ends in a draw, the Islanders would then need both a win from UTRGV, who host Lamar University tonight, and a Nichols loss to force a three-way tie for the final spot. Islanders would hold the tiebreaker in that scenario. Meanwhile, TAMU-CC and UTRGV continue their South Texas Showdown rivalry series tonight in the Valley, this time in volleyball action. The Vaqueros will host the Islanders tonight, then travel to TAMU-CC for another match on Saturday afternoon. Also on Saturday, the school's cross-country teams will take the rivalry out to Louisiana for the weekend at Saturday's Southland Conference Championships at Northwestern State University. And this weekend, Texas A&M Corpus Christi will host its annual Islander Hack, where for the first time ever, teams of students will design and develop artificial intelligence models that will be for environmental sustainability and social impact. The event begins at 9 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday. KEDT's Jost Michael has more details.
To generations of people not growing up with artificial intelligence, this newfound reality seems magical. AI now dominates commercial and academic platforms where computers and humans communicate with natural languages like English. In the past, this was impossible as computers required their specific language for inputs-outputs. This barrier is gone as computers can now do things in plain English or any other natural language. Large language models currently dominate this application technology. Dr. Carlos Rubio Medrano, assistant professor, computer science, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, explains how students will use AI in the hackathon to solve real-world problems.
The main idea is that they identify the challenges they like the most, and then they develop a solution that includes artificial intelligence. This solution, for instance, most likely will require them analyzing the challenge, analyzing the problem. This problem may be something that a given community is experiencing, and they will locate some data sets. There are plenty of data sets available out there that have been collected by different organizations. It's likely they will train an AI model, like a large language model, for instance, or a machine learning model. And this model will consume the data set and will somehow produce information to solve the problem. That information, for instance, can be a prediction, right? What's going to happen if certain conditions are met.
After meeting those requirements,
and then they will actually develop a user interface for people to actually use the solution. And that user interface may come in the form of an application for your mobile phone. Obviously, the time is short, and developing a whole solution takes more time in real life and practice. They will require to show what's called a working prototype.
Additionally,
Very end, we're going to have several faculty and members from industry serving as judges. They will come, teams will present their solution, they will present their rationale, they will present the way in which the way they understood the problem and the way they develop a solution, and eventually they will showcase their prototype.
students will receive prizes in several different categories while pursuing their AI solutions, as Texas A&M hopes to become a hub for students creating AI excellence. Joe Smichael, KEDT News.
And I'm Rob Boskamp. That is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.